Dude, because I can hear myself. That's the problem not having my producer here with me. Give me a thumbs up. I know you guys got me now, right? Thumbs up. Give you a thumbs up. Thumbs up. Dave Sandine, Jacob, give me a thumbs up. We got it. Are we good? Fixed. I'm not totally tech savvy, but hey, I'm not illiterate either, so I'm able to fix some stuff. I'm glad we're on par here, fellas. I guess look, I wanted to start off with a little thing done by Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley had talked about, Ben making that much money coming over into Zuffa Boxing, $15 million. Connor Ben coming over. And see, that's the thing. For a second there, I struggled to remember what his name was. I know it was Ben, but couldn't remember the first name. That's, I think, where we're getting at is, hey, they're spending this kind of money. And like Sugar Sean said, he doesn't like Charles. Like, I never heard of the guy. I heard he's a good boxer. I heard of this. Okay, cool. It's not like you're spending that money on Floyd Mayweather or Manny Pacquiao or Canelo Alvarez, which I know you're going to pay a lot more. Bud Crawford, like you're going to pay a lot more. We're talking about the younger talent that's working their way up. I see the UFC's vision, or I should say Zuffa Boxing's vision. They're enticing the younger but relatively relevant names, and they're making sure that they're getting the younger crowd to come along with it. This is smart. Look, normally what you do is normally what they've done before in the past, right? When Ken Shamrock was fighting Tito Ortiz, they brought an old head to kind of fight, the young up and comer guy, in terms of the guy that was just a champion after Frank Shamrock had beat him. There was a storyline there. There was all this drama that was created around that. And Bellator and Strikeforce, they kind of developed their whole system based off of taking a little bit older of a fighter and building up the promotion around them, but then also too, building the promotion around them, but also bringing the young, talented guys underneath them, making them the featured fight on the main card or making them the co-main event or that middle. They're always on the main card. And then the ones that you really were trying to push, you'd put them as the featured fight, the opening fight on the main card. And then the ones that were kind of not there just yet, they were probably that last fight on the prelims, very similar to how the UFC is doing it. Strikeforce was doing that from the jump, though, and I feel like that's a little bit of a page that Dana White took out of Scott Coker's book. He built some of these younger guys on, like when you saw Uriah Faber fighting like on the main event of the prelims, and I believe it was Uriah and was saying like, I don't mind fighting there. There's more people watch it on Fox than they watch it on if it was to be pay-per-view. I'd rather have it be watched on Fox than to watch it on pay-per-view. There's a lot of things that was back in the day. But I look at it and I go, this is a good way, I think, for the UFC fighters to start to realize, oh man, I just got totally sidetracked right now. I got totally sidetracked. What? I think I beat Josh Thompson. And maybe in fishing. It looks like you caught a pretty good fish. Bro, you ain't beating me at nothing else, though. Nothing else. Not even at, I'm almost 50 years old. You ain't beating me at anything else. Nothing. Injured, doesn't matter. Can't beat me. Anyways, I wanted to give that a little bit of love. The fishing full 33.97. I know you're talking a little smack. I got it, but I feel like you're new to the chat, so I had to give you a little bit of love and and let you feel the wrath a little bit. So what's up, everyone? I want to say what's up to everybody. But I think this is kind of where we're at right now with the UFC, and then Connor Ben potentially making this $15 million per fight. I thought I had heard that he had signed a 2-fight deal. And a 2-fight deal, obviously $30 million. Shit, no one's saying no to that. But I also feel that there was maybe I misunderstood it, or because it sounds like Sugar Sean was talking about how that he heard it was only one fight. And I was like, okay, cool. Maybe it was only one fight for 15, but that's even like, you're not locked down to a promotion. You're not locked down to Zuffa Boxing. You're just locked down to the one fight. And they haven't announced the opponent yet. None of that. So they're bringing him in. And I was just looking it up earlier too. I want people to understand that Zuffa Boxing right now, Sella, I think is how you say it. Sella is the investment firm. So Sella is the majority owner at 60%. TKO Boxing is the minority owner at 40%. So, and the Turki Al-Sheikh is involved. The venture is spearheaded by the UFC Dana White and Turki Al-Sheikh to apply the UFC's promotion model to boxing. TKO acts as the managing partner overseeing daily operations, which makes sense because Dana's the guy that built, along with Lorenzo and Frank Fertitta, had built the UFC, and they want to basically champion this after the UFC model. And so they've been able to go to politicians and being able to speak, in DC and talk about how, look, we're going to just take boxing. We're going to do it this way. Obviously, our model works. Our model is making sure that our fighters are getting paid, but are our fighters getting paid the fair market value? Are they getting, but what is the fair market value when they are setting the fair market value? I think that's where a lot of people are getting a little upset. I can see it and hear it a little bit in Sean O'Malley's voice, and he's not the only one. I've had maybe four or five. I'll have to look and see in my DMs. I've had 4 or 5 MMA guys reach out, and 2 of them are pretty high up there. And they're like, man, this is bullshit. This guy's making this much money. And like, I've got 7 fights or I've got 12 fights in the UFC. And like, I'm not scratching that. I'm not getting anywhere near that. And they're like, you could say arguably, I've got a bigger name than that guy in this whole sport, where that guy's got maybe a big name in boxing, but it's not as big a name as I am in this sport and in this world. Like, a lot of fighters are going like, I never heard of this dude. So I guess what my question is do you think this will be the camel the straw that breaks the camel's back? Is this going to be that moment where the fighter's like, look, we got to do something? Because ultimately what's being talked about right now is there's still no clarity on what the $1.1 billion does to fighter pay. Like, what does that do when the new contracts come around for negotiations? Because there will be no changes in the contracts now, unless you were a former champion with pay-per-view attached to it. There'll be no change. Or unless you are a champion, there'll be a change. That's the only reason there will be a change. Like with Conor McGregor, he's having I think it sounds like he's having a hard time with this deal because he had rights to basically pay-per-view. He had sponsorship rights, like he got a percentage of the sponsors that came in. And he also was able to use his own companies that he had and have them on the canvas, have them to market it that way. So he was triple dipping, I guess you would say. He was able to cash out multiple times in different ways. So look, let's just listen to Sean. Let's see what Sean has to say, and then we'll touch base on this. Let me see. Let me hit this here.
I've been told. Tim told me, "Do you see that?" I'm like, that doesn't mean it's true. I don't know. It could very well be true. I can't imagine it being true. Zuffa Boxing, it's like they're paying out. I don't even know who Conor Ben is.
I don't know.
He like supposedly is a pretty big name in boxing. I never heard of him. Yeah, they really paid this Ben Johns?
Connor
Ben.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Connor Ben.
If they really, Ben Jones used to be a UFC fighter. They really paid him $15 million. It's like,
I wouldn't blame you for going to box.
Yeah, it's crazy how you just put in so much work in the UFC, build this name, create this character, be this star. And it's like, I'm not making fucking $15 million fight.
Yeah.
But it's also a business. If they think that's a good business move and that guy's going to bring in money, it's like, I get it. I don't think anything personal in business. Business is business. It's crazy how you just put in so much work in the UFC, build this name, create this character, be this star. And it's like, I'm not making fucking $15 million fight.
It's a very valid point. Like, and I think that's where the problem lies. Is you spend all this time, and just be honest, like guys like Sugar Sean, they spend a lot of money trying to build their brand. Like he's out there, I'm sure he's spending money on having a photographer there, having a videographer there, having someone around him the whole time. It's not just like it just pops up because, I was on the UFC and now I'm a huge star. They spend a lot of money building their brand. And in building their brand, it makes the UFC bigger because their brand is bigger. And then the UFC makes their brand bigger, which also makes them bigger. So he has a very valid point. Look, I think Conor Ben, I've seen him fight one time. I think he's a very talented fighter. Very talented fighter. Okay. But if I was going to say who has the bigger name worldwide, Conor Benn or Sugar Sean, I would probably say Sugar Sean. Now, maybe I'm biased because I obviously watch tons of MMA and I've only seen Conor Benn fight once. But when I flip through the media sources, when I flip through like it's mainly MMA, but when I flip through even just like sports channels and ESPN, and like they would speak more about Sugar Sean, they would speak more about John Jones, and I know they had a deal with the UFC, had to deal with them than they would Conor Benn. So I'm getting to this point where our fighters going to finally start to stick up for themselves. And are they just holding it back right now? Or are they waiting for their contracts to be up? Like he said in another quote, I think on this show, he said, I've got 2 more fights left on my contract. Well, you've got to get those wins. That's one, because winning solves everything. You start winning, you come into your negotiations with wins, you've got a leg to stand on. So I'd like that Sugar Sean brought this up, but if you were, like I said, if I was to take Sugar Sean and put Conor Benn, and I think Conor Benn has a good look to him, the tats, the blonde hair, like, look, gives me a little bit of that Kevin Randleman kind of vibe a little bit, right? Like, I mean, he's not obviously as big and buff as the vibe of he's a dog. He's just like, it looks like he's just straight built to be a fighter. Sugar Sean he's built up such a huge brand. I would say he's probably one of the most recognizable, not just because of the rainbow hair, but he's a huge star. He's done a great job of building himself up, but he has spent a lot of money doing that as well. So for him to not get paid something, I wouldn't say similar, but give like he's saying, I'm not making that money. I'm not making that amount of money. You understand what I'm saying? And those are the things that I think a lot of these fighters are they're gonna have to band together and figure out, what does this $1.1 billion deal do for them? Does it do anything? Does it put more money in their pocket? And I think, look, even I was on the UFC side temporarily. I was like on their side going, hey, like, let's let the dust settle. Let's get the first couple fights out of the way. I was maybe even thinking like, let's get up to the White House card. Maybe there's, maybe there's something there that we can, that like after the White House card, like, look, all the stuff, all the hard work's done. They're planning for the White House card. They're spending $60 to $70 million on this card. Like, from the setup, because it's not coming out of taxpayers' money, is from what everyone's been told. It's strictly like they're paying for everything. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. Like they're definitely not doing it again next year, it sounds like, or the year after. This is a huge deal. I was going to give them a pass on explaining to the fighters, what is this $1.1 billion deal? But they've kicked the can down the road past the first 4 fights. And I think once they get past the White House card, it's going to almost be like too late. Like, hey, when are we really going to find out? What does the $1.1 billion get us? Are we all getting full medical insurance instead of just the $1,500 coverage for major injuries? What are we getting? Are we getting some sort of retirement plan, like a 401k? What do we get? Like, I'm just throwing things out here, guys. I'm spitballing. But what does the $1.1 billion a year get us? What does the $7.7 billion for 7 years get us? And I hear that frustration a little bit in the voice of Sugar Sean. Like, when I know he's like, I got 2 more fights left. And I think that's when fighters will realize, their eyes will be open to what they really get out of this $1.1 billion deal. I don't know how many people have to restructure their contracts right now, but we're going to find out in this period of time. I think coming up shortly, when guys start, Sugar Sean, Conor McGregor, they both have 2 fights from what I understand. Other fighters, have 1 and 2 fights. Those fighters, when they come due for their contract, will they see a jump in pay? And if they don't, what does that mean? What does that mean for them? Are they gonna finally stand up for themselves? I saw someone here asking right here. Punk, you think the UFC fighters can ever unionize? I don't normally answer questions about super chats or unless you're a member, but hey, I want to thank you guys all for this. This is important. Will they ever unionize? Or do you think they will ever sit out and mini strike for better pay? I don't think they'll unionize. I think that there is a potential of them striking possibly if they don't start seeing some vast improvements in their pay, especially after this huge deal. Because let's not just talk, it's not just the 1.1 billion. All of their sponsors, all of the deals they do on the side, there's more money coming in. Tons of money coming in. Their YouTube channels. I mean, people forget about that type of stuff. They're making money off of all of their channels that they have individually. We're just talking about this. You're only talking about the Paramount the Paramount CBS deal, Paramount Plus deal is the 1.1 billion. You're not talking about all the other deals for the other countries that don't have Paramount. All the merch, someone brought that up. Donnie does dishes. Wow. Unless you're a female, your name's Donnie. Bro, you doing dishes, dog? She got you in there doing dishes? All the merch. Donnie does dishes says all the merch. The merch is crushing it. You heard people talking about how the UFC basically took the fighting nerds and it started selling merch that said fighting nerds, and that impacted how much people bought their stuff. Will they ever unionize? Let me answer that. I don't think they will unionize. And I'll give you a couple examples on why. The first example is this. I fought Clay Guida. Okay. Got nothing but respect for Clay. But I had a sponsor named, it was Sprawl. I think you guys, if you long time watchers of the sport, you guys will know. Remember Sprawl with the black with the yellow writing? And then they dabbled into some different designs. I started having different colored shorts. They were, I think, red and yellow and stuff like that. Sprawl was paying me $15,000 just to wear their shorts, not to wear the shirt, and I could put other logos on there. When I fought Yves Edwards, I had Sprawl on there and I had a couple other logos on my shorts. And in that fight, I think just for that fight, I made $15,000 to wear Sprawl. I had a different shirt on, which I think I made another $10,000 to wear the shirt. Then I made like another sponsor on my ass, made another $10,000 for that. And then I had, I think, one on the leg. So I made like another $5,000, I think, on that one. So I made like almost $40,000, I think $38,000 or $35,000, somewhere around that for that fight. Clay Guida, and then later my next fight, like one of my next fights after that, I still had Sprawl. I had signed a 3-fight deal with them. Then I went and fought in Japan, wore Sprawl for them there. Then I came and I fought in Strikeforce. Clay Guida was my third fight on that. And they were trying to restructure my contract, and I was trying to get them basically back at like 15 to 18,000, just to wear the shorts, not to wear the shirt, not to wear anything else, just the shorts. And Clay Guida came into them and said, "Hey, I like your Sprawl stuff. Will you just do my banner, and will you just outfit my whole corner with gear and give me a bunch of apparel?" And he took no money. So that's when you talk about fighters that are coming up and to unionize, you're going to always have fighters like that. And this is no jab at Clay. Clay was pretty much unknown. He was fighting in these small shows in the Mid East or whatever it is, like over in the Northeast. He was fighting up there in Indiana, Chicago, like Maine, like all these small shows he was fighting in. And relatively unknown. Great wrestler, very scrappy. You guys all know the story on Clay. Come on, man. He made his career off of me because he beat me that night. But that guy, he caused Sprawl to come back to me and go, "Hey, can we restructure your contract?" Clay said he'll do it, and he's fighting you on the same card, the co-main event, and he'll do it for nothing. He's like, can we drop you down like $7,000? I was like, absolutely not. Contract's done. But that's where we lie right now. Like, that's why this individual sport, the UFC and the Dana White and all of them, they know that we'll find somebody else And the Dana White Contender Series and the Ultimate Fighter, that feeds them the fighters they need. They've got a big enough sample size of guys that they just roster off. And they say, okay, you're not quite good enough just yet. You're not quite good enough just yet. But we're gonna go ahead and keep you on hold. And if a fighter gives them a little bit of a problem, give them a little bit of attitude, or just hasn't fought in a while, we'll slide somebody else in. If that fighter has a great performance, we'll move you out. So to answer your question, I don't think they'll unionize. Now, I did like what you had to say, though. You said something about if there was a strike. Because I really honestly believe that's all it would take. It would take a strike of, say, 4 to 5 champions for them to say, we're sitting out for 6 months. Because I would almost guarantee that in that, I haven't looked at the contract. I don't know the contract, but I'm saying with the ESPN contract, from what I understood, that it had something to do with they were promised a certain amount of title fights every year. So they had to deliver title fights. Now, they could very well make interim titles. But if 5 champions said we're not fighting until we get a new deal for the whole crew of fighters, and they went public with it, it would piss off the UFC, and obviously if they lost, they'd probably be fucking cut. It could sabotage their career, and you have to be 100% honest with that. But if you took 5 champions or 6 champions and you said we're not fighting for 6 months until fighters get a better understanding of where this $1.1 billion a deal is going, a year is going towards the fighters, till we have a better understanding of this, and what does that look like? I honestly believe that would put the pressure on them, not just whoops, sorry guys. Not just by the media. The media be putting a ton of pressure on them. But that would obviously, I think, put a lot of pressure on the politicians. That would put a lot of pressure on the UFC, put a lot of pressure on the TKO. It would put a lot of pressure on them to deliver something. Because let's be honest, adding $50,000 to a bonus, if you added that based off of inflation and all the other shit since they started doing the $50,000 bonuses, where would that put us at? I think it's at like 78,000. So sure, you went a little bit over. Great, I love that. I love that you went a little bit over. It's I think it's fantastic. You're at 100. But these guys, those guys that earn those bonuses, let's be honest, every one of those fights shaves off a certain amount of time of their life. And definitely their fighting career. Those fighters that are getting those huge or getting those $100,000 bonuses, they're like knockdown, drag out bonuses. Those fights are normally the most entertaining fights, which means probably not the most technical, but obviously sometimes the most entertaining because somebody got dropped, somebody got back up, fought their way back into the fight, probably got dropped again, or they dropped the other person. Both fighters are taking years or months off of their career by having those kind of fights to earn an extra $50,000 or $100,000. If we had fights like that in boxing, those guys would be making millions. Millions. If we had the old school Hagler-Hearns fights, if we had the old school fights like that, those guys were making millions. These guys are making business decisions out there. We had the Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward fight. We had those fights. Those guys are making millions. These guys are not all of them are making millions. Some are making 100 and 100. Some of them are making 150, 200 at the, 300 at the max. Let's not forget the ones that are on the low end of the totem pole that are still making 15 and 15. Guys, I don't like to argue. I don't like to sit here and say anything about money because I literally came in this sport because I love to fight. If you don't fucking believe me, I was making 2 and 2 coming into the UFC. 4 and 4 my second fight into the UFC. I fought Hermes Franco my second fight. He was the number 2 guy or number 3 guy in the world. And then after I beat him, I was considered to be the #1 guy in the world. Fought Yves Edwards. Yves Edwards was ranked #2. I was ranked #1. At that time in the UFC, in the lightweight division, in the world. I made 8-8 to fight Yves Edwards. I made $8,000 because I lost, plus my sponsors. I made way more money in sponsors than I did than I did to fight Yves Edwards. Way more. It wasn't even close. I wore sprawl shorts in that fight, 15 grand. I can't remember what shirt I wore. Then I had like a logo on my ass, another 10 grand. So right there was 25 grand. I made another, I think, 5. I think I made another 10 to make to wear a shirt. $35,000. I made 8 grand because I lost. So I've been doing this. I've been doing this from the beginning. You know, I mean, shit, I thought I got rich when I fought Kid Yamamoto. That's the fight that got me into the UFC. I made 2-2 for that fight. I was fucking thought I was rich. And then after that, I signed a contract with UFC, but then I kept getting injured. And when I was able to finally fight, I fought Rob McCullough in the WFA. And I made 2-2 for that fight to find out Rob McCullough made way more money than I did. And no disrespect to Rob and I are still good friends to this day. I helped him train for a lot of his fights in the WEC. But I mean, it was a very one-sided fight. And then I went to the UFC, had a finish in the first round against Gerald Strubent, had a knockdown, drag out, dominant fight against Hermes Franca, but got dropped in the third, came back and just. But my point is there was moments in that fight, moments in that part of my career, I was like, man, what am I doing? Should have joined the Air Force, could have joined the military. I'd be fucking retired by now. Doing whatever else, probably doing something else that I would really love doing. But there was nothing, I wouldn't change anything. I love what I do. I'm doing this right now because I love what I do. I love what I do. But these fighters need to understand that you guys, they're making a lot more money than I ever made. But you guys got to band together a little bit, man. You got to make something happen where you guys, where you not just set yourselves up, but you're setting up the future for other fighters. I'm not saying that you guys need, like I said, it only takes 5 champions, I believe, maybe 6, to say, hey, publicly, we are not fighting until we know where the $1.1 billion is, how the $1.1 billion is going to benefit us. $100,000 bonuses ain't going to get it done. Because even they said there's finishing bonuses. That's cool. But you can't win the finishing bonus and get a fight of the night bonus or whatever it is, a performance of the night bonus. You can't win both. Why? Why can't I? I thought you'd be giving me even more of a reward if I got a finish and had a great performance. What happens if I got dropped like Frankie Edgar 3 times in the first round, came back and then got the finish in the 4th round or 5th round in a title fight like he did with Gray Maynard, or he got dropped like in the fight like that? Why would I not give Frankie Edgar the performance bonus? And why would I not give him a finishing bonus? Why would I not give him, fucking a lot more money for performances like that? Those are the fights and fighters you should be rewarding. I just don't see fighters getting together to unionize. I could see a strike. But if you do a strike, just remember there's scabs. And that's no disrespect to the people coming in, because they're getting their opportunity to live their dream. But that's what they call them, right? In the football and the basketball, when they were striking, they would call them scabs. People that came in and took their place. Created a league. I think they did it for baseball, or they did it for football for sure. You know? So until the fighters and the champions and people like Sugar Sean, someone that has a name, a Sugar Sean, someone's built up quite a bit of a name for themselves, until they step up and do something, nothing's going to change. I go back to the Justin Gaethje comments. He's got 14 performance of the night bonuses. He hasn't even made $1 million yet. That's fucking baffling to me. Absolutely baffling to me. Now he's like, oh yeah, I've made good money. He's made good money. He's not very good with his money. That's on you. Cool. That's on you. But if you've delivered 14 performances of the night, that means that only 2 or 3 of them have been delivered. Pretty much every single card. You've had 14 of them. You deserve more. That guy, Justin Gaethje, has been through it all. Has been through it all. The highs, the lows, he's been through it all. The touching the interim title, just having it there wrapped around his waist, and then not ever really winning the undisputed title. He's had it all. The only thing he's lacking in his career is that one thing. That's it. The way you guys need to, the way I want to say this is, the UFC, like if you are champion, that's when you make your money, which is fair. But if you've been in that top 10, like Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje, if you've been in that top 5, top 10 for 10 years, that's fucking wild. That's wild to me. And you're not able to just be like, yeah, I mean, I've already made 80 million, $50 million. I should ride off into the sunset. They can't say that. None of them can say it. It doesn't sound like it. I don't know directly what those guys have made, but from the way that Gaethje came out and talked and the way that Sugar Sean's talking right now, over just the $15 million from Conor Benn being signed to Zuffa Boxing, it doesn't sound like they're scratching that. So I think I don't know how to unionize. I don't know if they'll ever get a union because somebody will always come in and take less because that's their dream too. And the UFC knows that. And I'll give you another, I gave you my situation with Clay Guida. I'll give you another situation though, with Chuck Liddell. Chuck Liddell was making, on paper, $250,000 a fight. But when guys came to the UFC and said, hey, I deserve to make this much money, the UFC would say Chuck Liddell is a huge star. His brand is huge. His fighting style is what we want. He's making $250. Plus, pay-per-view points, but they didn't get into that. They just said, look, this is what his pay is. So why would we pay you more if Chuck Liddell, our biggest star, is making this? They leverage it. So if they can do that to some of the biggest stars, like a Sugar Sean, who spent all this time and all this money and doing his podcast and doing videos and creating content, spending money to do that. If we can do it to Sugar Sean, why can't we do it to the guy who's trying to come up, trying to build his own brand that way? Nah, man. Sean's only signed making $500,000. Why would we pay you over $500,000? And the guy looks at Sugar Sean and goes, damn, Sugar Sean's got his own gym, got his own pickleball place, got his own Lambo, but he's paying a lot of money to do all these things on his own. Which is very unfortunate, but like that's the position that we're in right now. Is these guys are going to go, these fighters are going to go to renegotiate, and the UFC is going to go, yeah, but Sean's only making this much. Our other champions are only making this much. These are champions. Oh, those are champions though. They're making that much because they're champions. Brandon Moreno is making this. He's a former champion though. So that's why he's defended his title multiple times and former champion and fought. They'll have reasons on why they can't afford, they can't pay you that much. But I honestly believe they have to come up with some sort of remedy for this. I've ranted on long enough about it, but I mean, like, I had this talk with Luke Thomas and I go, hey, where are you at with the money thing now with this deal? He's like, look, I'm fucking exhausted. Luke Thomas goes, I'm tired of talking about this. I'm tired of it. He doesn't He doesn't want to talk about it anymore. The reason why he doesn't want to talk about it anymore is because like the fighters will send him texts and DMs like I got about this. And I'm like, hey, like, I don't want to bring him up. I'm not gonna, I didn't even ask. But Luke's like, do you mind if I talk about it? And they're like, yeah, we don't care if you talk. Well, yeah, I want you to talk about it. He's like, well, can I mention your name? He's like, oh, no, nah. Well, then what fucking point did, what good does it do? So there's that frustration. I think a lot of media is having the frustration with it. My frustration is not with the fighters right now. My frustration is the fact that like in when January, they signed the deal with Paramount. Everyone knew it was coming. They knew how big it was going to be. And then I gave them a pass myself. My own frustration is probably with myself because I wasn't more vocal about this. Is we gave them a pass. I said, hey, after they get past this first 2 or 3 shows, they're just, they didn't want to do anything while they're still on the ESPN dime. They didn't want it to wait until everything was cleared out. Well, here we are now at the end of February, and we still have no structure on what these guys are getting paid. We still have no idea what the percentage is that these guys are going to get paid off of this $1.1 billion deal every year. $7.7 billion for 7 years. That's not counting apparel. That's not counting, sponsors that they have. That's not counting all the other things and all the other TV networks that they have worldwide that are still paying them to be on their platform. That's not counting all that. We're only talking about the Paramount deal. And that's a massive number. So what does it look like besides the extra 50 grand on bonuses, which you can't even get if you have a finish? What does it look like? I mean, now that the first, 3-4 shows is over, what are we doing? Fighters, speak up, man. Where are we going with this? So that's where I'm at on that. Fighters need to start sticking together in terms of, hey, we need to know. Let us know. Here we go. We got, thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it. Remy Hayes, 3579. What percentage do you think champs like Sugar and Poetan make from outside endorsements versus champ pay? I think that Sugar probably makes more than guys like than Poetan, but Poetan also hits a different market. Sugar probably hits the American market pretty damn well. He might hit a couple, Canadian or European markets. I don't think maybe even Australian market. I don't think really the market in Brazil or other areas probably hit him all that well. The Russian market, all that stuff, or China market probably doesn't hit him all that well. But I would say he probably makes about 25 grand to 50 grand a month from whatever endorsement deals he has coming in. Maybe it's more, maybe it's less. I don't know. Look, it's been a while since I've actually been in the game, and the numbers when I started to leave, the numbers were shit. Sponsors really weren't paying when I left. Like, UFC was doing their whole deal where they were shutting down sponsors, brought in Reebok, and other companies were like, yeah, we're not sponsoring. If we're not sponsoring the UFC, we're not going to sponsor any other fighters in Bellator or in other companies because it just doesn't make sense. UFC was the big dog, and they dictated, basically the market. They dictated like if they saw you fighting in Bellator, like a handful, like it was like maybe, I don't know, 230,000 people would see you. Like we fought on CBS Sports. We fought on before Showtime. It was Paramount, and then it was CBS Sports, and then it was I don't know, something else. We fought on those networks, and then we were averaging around 300,000 views, 250, I think 230 to 300,000 views, depending on the main events or depending on the show. That was it. So I couldn't tell you what those guys are making now. The market is, I think, really strong for UFC guys, especially guys like Sean, especially guys like Poetan. So what percentage do I think the champs like Sugar make from the outside endorsement? I don't know what the percentage would be. I would say they're probably making about 20 to 25 grand a month is what they should probably be bringing in right now with their names. That does not mean that other fighters make that. But Sean, his market doesn't hit like in the Middle East, like how Islam and Umar and Usman and those guys, how their market hits. Their market hits in Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and in Saudi Arabia. Like they're crushing it. They're killing it. Those guys are making a ton of money. So thanks for the $4.99. Thanks for the $5 super chat. Remy Hayes, 3579. You also, let me see here. We got another one. No real question, but Ernie Vasquez, 7552. Thanks for the $5 super chat. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Can ask a question with it, man. You don't have to just give me money. I appreciate it though. Yeah, there's just a lot, man. There is, I don't know. Like there's a lot of things that the fighters could do. I could sit up here and tell you, but they have to want to do it. And I know, look, I've been in that situation. I know I've had conversations with fighters who were in that situation. Josh Koscheck, John Fitch, Mike Swick, all of them. Cain Velasquez, Luke Rockhold, DC. We've had these conversations. And the conversation is like, bro, I'm at the top right now. I'm making the most money I ever made. I'm not rocking the boat. The only person that ever really spoke up was John Fitch. And John Fitch was so ingrained and so dialed into this class action lawsuit. This guy had been speaking to me about the class action lawsuit that we all got paid out on for fucking years, bro. It was fucking nauseating to fucking listen to him talk about it all the time. And I was just like, dude, I didn't want to hear it anymore. I was like, look, I'm on your side. But I don't know what you want me to do. Like you guys have lawyers, you guys are involved, you guys started it. I mean, like, I don't know what you want me to do. I wasn't really with the UFC. And when I was with the UFC, I mean, like I think John was gone around that time. Yeah, I think John was kind of gone around that time, or was that? John Fitch right now, I saw Snake Eater E70W. John Fitch lives in Indiana. He's, I believe, coaching a high school team there. So he just moved back out there. He left California, and now he's out there living back near his old hometown. I think about 30 minutes from his old hometown. Yeah. Yep. Living his life, man. I believe he just had a kid that he was helping coach. Just was a runner-up at the Indiana State Finals for wrestling. So good on him, man. Proud of him. Proud of him for that. That's a big deal. So huge deal. I don't know. I don't know what that looks like, to be honest, like on how these guys can make these improvements, how these guys can make the adjustments to approach the UFC and say, hey, like, really, what does this look like? But they need to figure it out soon. I've ranted on long enough about that. Let's talk. Let's talk. I think let's go ahead and let's talk about let's talk about the fight card this weekend, because I spent 38 minutes. Yeah, 43 minutes. Sorry, 43 minutes on that fight, or on that argument there. But what the hell is going on? Let me go back to this. Yeah, if you guys got any questions, man, hit me up. Drop me a super chat. Let me know, and I'll try to get to them as soon as I possibly can. Connor's deal is minimum 15 million, maximum 30 plus. Oh, rubbing salt in the wound. Rubbing some salt in the wound. Yeah. Look, I think some people on X had a very good point. This is not Zuffa Boxing paying for Conor Benn. This is Turki Al-Sheikh letting people know, like, I'll get whoever I want. Which, if you didn't already know, he got he got Canelo and Bud. A fight that everyone talked about for I don't know how long. And that dude made it happen. So, like, if there's not a fighter out there that Dana can't get, because he's got Turki to back him, and they're working together to help build this whole thing. So I don't really yeah. I don't know, man. There is look, they've got tons of money. They'll be able to get whatever it is they want to get done. They'll be able to do it all. Do it all. So look, Zuffa Boxing, it's going to end up very much like the UFC. It may take a little longer, and it may actually maybe even faster. It can go one of two ways. It can take a little bit longer because you're going to have these holdouts that are like, nah, man, I used to make $14 million to fight, this guy. And like Canelo was making $30 million or $35 million to fight on the zone against guys that he could handpick. Didn't make any fucking sense. And I'm a huge Canelo fan, but I was like, bro, I want to watch you fight somebody. So I think Zuffa Boxing for sure is going to succeed. I see people in here talking about like, will it succeed? Absolutely it will. It may either take longer or other fighters are the ones that are starving and be like, man, I'm only making, 20 grand a fight. I might as well go over there and make 100 grand. So when Eddie Hearn and all these other promoters are like, man, no one's coming over to Zuffa Boxing for that pay. Well, I disagree, because unless you're the Canelo and the Bud and the, and the bigger names, you're only making, 50 to 60, 70 grand probably at the most. Until you build up your record of 20-0 or 25-0. I think you have to have a promoter that actually believes in you and that doesn't try to sabotage your career to build up somebody else that they think is better. Boxing's a fucking snake business. It's fucking dirty. Like, you guys think fucking MMA is bad. Fuck no. MMA is like, fuck. Like, it's, boxing's like the glory hole in some fucking bathroom. You stick your dick in, you don't know what the fuck's on the other side. I mean, you could sign with a promoter and think he has your best interest at heart, and they'll turn around and sign you to fight somebody that they know is a fucking stone cold killer. And you're stuck because you're in a contract with them now. And there's nothing you can do. You try to get out, you'll end up like Andre Ward, where you can't get out of shit because you'll be stuck in litigation for your whole career in your prime. Fucking disaster. That's boxing. MMA, at least you know who to point the finger at. Dana fucking White. You can moan and gripe and do all that shit about it, but look, you signed to a deal, and in their contracts, they say, hey, we got to fight you. We'll offer you a contract. We'll offer you a fight. You take it. You don't like it. Okay, we'll offer you another fight in 6 months. If you don't like it, we'll offer you another fight in 6 months. Whenever you're ready to fight, you come let us know and we'll offer you a fight. In the Granite 617, thanks for the $5 super chat, man. Liquid Swords, I don't know what that means. Explain it to me in another comment, and I'll go ahead and post that one up too. I have no idea what Liquid Swords means. Is that like two guys pissing and like playing swords? Is that what it is? Liquid Swords? I'm assuming that's what you mean. Oh, man. But look, I believe Zuffa Boxing will either also too take off. It might take off quickly because these younger guys are like, man, I'm ready to step in. Just very much how I was talking about Clay Guida did to me on the sponsorship thing. These guys might be like, shit, I'm all in on the fucking Zuffa Boxing thing. You're telling me I can fight 3 times a year, make $300,000? I'll take that. Or I can make $250,000 or $200,000. I'll take that. Yeah, Lazy Bet MMA. Drop your non-P super chats. I love that. But you guys understand what I'm talking about. Huge. I think it either can take off quickly right away, where tons of boxers are reaching out going, yeah, I'm done with this boxing bullshit and these promoters screwing me over, not giving me any fights or signing me, and then just keep me on the sideline until they find somebody that they really want me to fight to build up their bigger name. That's what happens. Or it could be the other way, where it takes forever because there's going to be a lot of these guys that make good money. They're like, yeah, no, I'm not going that way. You know what I mean? Like, no, I was making 10, 15 million. Like, until you're paying me that kind of money, I'm not going. I'm going to keep trying to tap into the Eddie Hearn and all the other boxing promoters, the De La Hoyas and stuff. See what you guys can pay me. And you may end up with guys like where De La Hoya and Eddie Hearn end up like, hey, we don't have a lot of guys to choose from. Only our guys can fight. We're going to have to pay our guys a lot, or they're going to end up going to Zuffa. Zuffa, and then Turkey Al-She's going to be like, hey, you know what? I kind of like that guy. I'm going to convince him to come over to us. They can steal your guys at any point if they really want them. And it may be only for 1, maybe 2 fights. But what it does do is it plants a seed into those guys like Conor Ben. Plants a seed into Conor Ben's mind. Like, if I don't like the way Eddie's treating me, and I don't like the way that De La Hoya's treating me, I don't like the way that Bob Arum's treating me, I don't like these guys, I can just be like, hey, I'm ready to sign a long-term deal with you guys. Doesn't have to be $15 million a fight. It could be 10. But I want to guarantee 2 fights a year or something like that. So I'm making my money. It could be something like that. Are the Fertittas involved with Zuffa Boxing? I don't think they are. I don't think they are. I think they're completely out of this stuff. I think the fight game, don't get me wrong, I believe that Dana still has him on speed dial. Lorenzo's a fucking brilliant, brilliant mind. There would be no UFC without Lorenzo. There'd be none. MMA would be gone. The sport would probably be just falling off by the side. You know? Without Lorenzo Fertitta, this thing would be dead. We're so grateful for him, man. He was such a fucking bright mind, and he saw it. He visualized it. He banked on it. He's like, look, fuck it, we're all in. Man, I give nothing but respect to that guy. In the Granite 617, Wu-Tang Clan members, Solo, LP, GZA, Liquid Swords. That's gonna be my rap. That's gonna be my rap name, right? Liquid Swords, Liquid Sword. Maybe we'll come out with a song like that. Yeah, man. I don't know. Thanks for the $2 super chat there in the Granite. I mean, there's a lot of guys that we can be thankful for in terms of this sport. You know, Lorenzo being, I think, at the top of the food chain. So let's go ahead and talk. I'm going to talk about some fights real quick. I'm going to bring this one up. We'll add this to the stage. Sean Brady and Joaquin Buckley. I haven't had a chance to talk about these fights because I've been gone. I was off in CPI in Mexico. I was off in Tijuana, Mexico, getting some stem cells at CPI. Cellular Performance Institute. All the UFC guys go there. A lot of other boxers, a lot of pro athletes. Poetan was there the week before I was there. Sad that I missed him. And I know Dom Cruz has been out there a couple times because he lives right across the border from them. So it's easy for him just to hop across and visit for 2-3 days if he needs to get some treatments. But yeah, man, I've been out there twice and I've had great results. If you guys have an opportunity, hit up my Instagram. In my Instagram, there's a link there that will walk you through everything. And if you need contact information, drop into my DMs. I'll send you a DM with some information on that as well. Those guys are absolutely amazing. Scotty and Ed are fantastic people, and they'll definitely try to get you right if you have injuries. I did my neck and my back this time around. And I've done my knee, my hip, and my neck previously, and I saw a big improvement in my neck the first time. Then I went back for seconds. This time they didn't do my my disc. They did the facets around it, and they did the same thing in my back. So my back and neck feel absolutely awesome. So if you guys get a chance, you guys have questions about it, hit me up, man. Let me know. All right, let's go. Sean Brady and Joaquin Buckley. This fight is fucking a banger. I think it's going to be a great fight. Buckley either is going to land the hard shot, the clean shot, and the boxing with the speed and the power that he has and the explosiveness and put Sean Brady out, or Sean Brady's going to get this fight to the ground, and I don't know if Buckley gets back up. But we saw in the last fight with Sean Brady, man, just didn't utilize his wrestling at all, and it was very frustrating to watch, extremely frustrating to watch. But the one difference between Joaquin Buckley, okay, and his last opponent, and Sean Brady's last opponent, is that Joaquin Buckley lunges in when he strikes. Sean Brady's last opponent does not. He keeps the distance. He strikes at distance. He's very good at striking from the outside. And when he does land, he goes ahead and he makes you pay. He steps in and he tries to finish the fight from there. Very good at fighting at distance. Joaquin Buckley, he is overly aggressive, which is what we love about him. But he puts himself in harm's way of being taken down because he lunges in when he strikes. Loads up big time, lunges in, leaves himself in positions for the double leg, the single leg, the body locks, all of those things to be taken down. And on the ground, I think it's night and day. On the ground, Sean Brady is the way better fighter. Now, not that Buckley doesn't have great takedown defense. And not that it's not that he's not good at getting back up to the feet, because he's spectacular at getting back up to his feet. Didn't do a great job of it against Kamaru Usman. Kamaru Usman is Kamaru Usman, man. Former welterweight champion, multiple times defended his title. Great wrestling. Got some power in the hands. Guy's a dog, man. Joaquin Buckley didn't have a good night that night, but Sean Brady has an opportunity to get this fight to the ground, do the same thing. Will work for a finish. So we'll see. This is a great matchup. I like this matchup a lot. I really do. So that's a good fight. And then I've got some other fights that I wanted to go ahead and pull up on here for you guys. But let's take a look at this one here. I mean, these guys, it'll be great to see. There we go. What else we got here? Oh, here's another one. Dun dun dun. I'll add this one on here too to the screen for you guys. Oh, there we go. Joshua Van versus Tatsuro Taira. We kind of figured we were getting this. I know there was a lot of that talk of Manel Cop having that fight. And it sounds like he got passed by. And it's going to be Tatsuro Taira. Where this is going to be in Miami, which is very shocking because I would have expected them to try to do something in Japan. But I think because they were trying to get Van a fight as soon as possible, Taira a fight as soon as possible, I think what the hope is, and this is no dig at Joshua Van, is if Tatsuro Taira wins this fight and Horiguchi is ready to fight after his broken hand, I believe he's got a broken hand. If he's ready to get back to it, I think you could see Tatsuro Taira and Horiguchi fight in Japan sometime probably like in August, September, October, sometime around there, depending on if Tatsuro Taira gets the win. We'll find out. But Joshua Van, man, big time. This is a big time fight. He's gonna have to sprawl and brawl, keep this fight on the feet. He's got let his hands go. But can Tatsuro Taira get this fight to the ground? I believe he can. I believe he can. You know, I think a lot of people are like, oh, well, you know, what happened? He won the title on a fluke. Look, don't say that. He initiated the takedown. Takedown came, and Pantoja posted his arm. And because he was trying to get the takedown, that's what happens. He created the offense that caused the injury to happen. Don't take that away from him. Sure, would we have liked to have all seen the fight go longer? Absolutely. I would have loved to have seen that fight go longer. Absolutely, I would have. You know, but I would have loved to have seen that fight go longer, but I'm loving this fight too. I'm absolutely loving this fight. That's a great fight. Taira's got great grappling, phenomenal fighter, young. Almost like, I mean, I know this, I'm going to get a little bit of criticism for this, but bro, his fucking face looks fake. I swear, I think it's fake. Like he looks like what are they called? What are those Japanese characters? What are they called? I don't know what they're called. You guys can hit it in the comments. Let me know. Yes, Big John is a ref again. I just saw someone drop the comment there. Yeah, Big John is a ref again. Yeah, he did the PFL's last show. Yes, anime. There you go. Abdullah, what was it? Abdullah Bohan 904. Yep. Yeah, he looks like an anime character. So here's another great fight. You got Moicano versus Chris Duncan. Great fight. Moicano get a little bit older in age. Chris Duncan, though, man, he's a dog. We're going to see these two guys get after on the feet. I lean obviously towards Moicano. Moicano's fought the better competition. Moicano, I think, the more well-rounded fighter. But, you know, a lot of people like to overlook Chris Duncan. I like this fight. I don't see anything wrong with this. I mean, Moicano's been fighting the who's who lately in his last couple fights. This is one of those fights where the UFC is looking at him going like, okay, well, let's see who else we can get you. Can we get a younger guy to kind of come up and fight you and see how he does? And, you know, and Moicano's always game. He's gotten a lot better on the feet. I feel like his career was resurrected going up to 55 versus trying to stay at 45. I love that for him. You know, but the fight that was announced today, the one that I was actually the most happy with, and I'll pull it up here in a sec. The fight that I was the most happy with when I saw it being announced was this fight right here. It's right here. The Curtis Blaze, Josh Hokik fight. If you guys don't know anything about Josh Hokik, right? Like Josh Hokik is a fucking phenomenal wrestler, comes from a wrestling background. Wrestling's in his family. This guy can wrestle. Not to mention, like everyone's talking about his NFL fighting and or his NFL career and all this. Well, I don't care about that. Cool, you played in the NFL. That's great. Greg Hardy played in the NFL too. How'd that work out? This dude can wrestle. Curtis Blades got his hands full. Curtis will be the bigger of the two, like probably think taller. I'm not sure who's. Curtis is going to be the taller guy, but Josh Hokic is going to be the guy that comes after him, grinding on him, wrestling on him, trying to get after him. This is a huge step up in competition. Huge. This puts him, if he wins this fight, I think it puts him at like number 5 or something. He's ranked at number 4. Hokic's not even in. He's not even in the heavyweight division rankings. Not even in it. UFC called up and said, hey, who do you want? He's probably like, yeah, I want Curtis Blades. That jumps him. He's like, yeah, screw all those other guys. Give me the wrestler. Give me the wrestler. And the UFC, no matter how much, it was funny because we were talking about the Sean Strickland thing earlier. I was talking with some media guys earlier about it on the phone. And they're like, about the Sean Strickland position of all, his mic being cut off and all the things he said during fight week and da-da-da-da. Josh Hokic says some wild, crazy shit too. And when Josh Hokic does it, look at where he's at right now. You guys, this is the entertainment business. This is where we're headed. They don't give a shit what you say as long as you win. They don't care. This dude's jumping from not even in the rankings. He's not even in the rankings. Nowhere near. Sorry, I just got an Amber Alert. In Austin. All right, guys. I don't live near Austin. I'm 5 hours away, 4 hours away. But he's not even in the rankings. Said some wild, crazy shit on, on his interviews and his post-fight interviews, in the press interview, in the post-press conference. He says some wild, crazy stuff. And look what it's gotten him. It's got him the number 4 ranked guy coming up next. Now, will it be too much too soon? Who knows? We have no clue. But this is a good fight, man. This is going to be a good fight. Big step up in competition. Huge for him. And, man, big deal. A pretty damn big deal. So that's a big one. I was going to pull up. Let me take a look at this, but the card's all messed up. Like I usually use, I usually use Sherdog for this, but the card's been kind of jacked. Here we go. I'll pull it up on here. Brandon Moreno versus Loner Kavanaugh. I mean, Loner coming off the loss. Nasty KO loss in the second. I think it was the second round. You know what I mean? So it's a huge fight for him. Step up. I know he was undefeated before, but this is another level. So I mean, Brandon Moreno, unless outside of like getting clipped coming in, Brandon Moreno should finish this fight. I would say if you're a betting person, probably pick him to finish the fight by the second round, maybe the third. Main event, so 5 rounds. Keep that in mind, unless they changed it. But I believe I know that if you come in on last minute, doesn't matter. They normally have you fight 5 rounds. Marlon Vera versus Dave Martinez. This is a great fight. Dave Martinez got some nasty kicks. Only has 1 loss, I believe, to Jose Aldo. This is a big time fight. Big time fight. And Marlon Vera, he's the guy that I just saw a report that he's only won like 2 or 3 ever of his first round. Very similar to my career. I very rarely ever won the first round. But he doesn't win it because he just doesn't have the output. For me, I just had to wear guys down because I didn't have the power to really make them respect me. Whereas Marlon Vera's got power. He's got power in his hands. He's got a granite chin. Guy can fight, man. He just doesn't, there's no output. Doesn't let it sling. He's got to let it sling, man. But this is a good fight. Can Marlon Vera deal with the kicks? The kicking power of David Martinez and the youth of David Martinez. If David Martinez fights him slow, if he fights him at a slow pace, it's not going to work out well for him. That's the way Vera fights. Those guys, they've got that locked down. He'll try to win the fight in the last 30 seconds to a minute of every round. That's the way that he fights. Unless something changes with Marlon Vera, with Chito, that's the way he's going to fight you. He's going to basically like stick at you, like kind of just jab at you, a couple big shots, and then try, put a couple push kicks, lift the leg, maybe a couple kicks, leg kicks. But he's going to slowly stalk after you and then try and land the big shot. But I like Vera. But I think David Martinez, if he fights at a good pace, he could potentially start to slow Chito down. Chito's getting a little bit older. He's getting a little bit older. He's 33 years old. He's still kind of prime, to be honest. Still kind of prime, but he is getting a little bit over. David Martinez is 27. So I like David Martinez if he can get the leg kicks going early and he stays active. He cannot show Marlon Vera too much respect like he did against Jose Aldo. He can't do that. He didn't show up until the third round against Jose Aldo, and otherwise he would have won that fight. Chito sometimes doesn't show up until the last minute of every round. He's won some fights that way. I think that's why he keeps doing it. But David Martinez has all the tools and weapons to beat Chito Vera. But I'm going to lean towards Chito because Chito's got way more fight experience against world-class fighters. Yeah, I would agree. Look at someone, Dave Sandine said, there's tons of tape on Chito also. There is. Absolutely. 100% there's tons of tape on him. But will David Martinez use it? That's the other question. Bless me. Oh, bless me. Yeah, so will Chito use that tape? Will David Martinez use that tape? Because David Martinez got great kicks, got good hands, stays very disciplined with his defense. Hands stay up tight. He's a very good fighter. No, I don't think Chito. It says right here, Chito's 33. I don't think he's 41. Unless they got his age wrong. Let me take a look at it. I'll look it up right now. See, Chito Vera, our age. 33. Yep. Was born February 24th. He just turned 33. February 24th. He just turned. Wait, what's today? Today is his birthday, is it? Say the 24th? Dave Sandine, thank you, man. Thank you for the bless you. Chito is not 41, guys. I'm looking it up right now. Google AI says that he is 33 years old, and is today the 24th? If today is the 24th, no, his birthday is December 2nd. Sorry. I was looking at as of February 24th, which is today. He's 33. Oh, let's talk about Daniel Zellhuber and King Green. I mean, look, I'm a huge Bobby fan. I've got a loss to Bobby. Bobby's a good dude. I've had Bobby on the podcast. Bobby's a great guy. Bobby's also older. Bobby, I think, is 39. Oh, yep, 39. So Bobby Green is 39 and Daniel Zellhuber is 26. Zellhuber, though, can't seem to get out of his own mind. He's got to pull the trigger and let it go. Eric Nixig talked about how great Zellhuber was, and Big John had been down there to Extreme Tours and seen him train. He's like, man, that kid's good. Phenomenal. But it comes down to Duke Mad Duck. What's up, man? How are you doing? It comes down to, like, he's got to be able to pull the trigger. You cannot fight a conservative fight against somebody like Bobby Green. You got to get after him. Bobby will stick and move. I made that mistake. I lost a very close split decision. I should have never have lost to him. I could have done whatever I wanted. I just didn't do it. I didn't pull the trigger. He had me all, I would say he was talking to me. He had me all kind of not confused, but just out of my game. Had me out there having too much fun instead of fighting. He's one of my biggest regrets in terms of fights, because I could have done a lot more and I didn't do it, and it cost me. So that being said, man, Bobby though, coming off, he just had a really bad run as of lately. And so I think with Bobby, look, 33 and 17-1, 17 losses. And I would say if you take a look at the last 5, those are not good losses. I mean, let me look them up real quick. And in that, let's take a look. Here we go. Yeah, something's going on with. I normally go to SureDog for my information on here. For some reason, man, SureDog's all jacked up right now. It just keeps kicking you out every time you get on. Maybe I shouldn't use them anymore. I know people use Tapology, but let me see. I'll look it up. There we go. Bobby Green Tapology. Pull it up. Let's look up Bobby Green. 39. Let's take a look at his record. Where is he at? Dun, dun, dun. Yeah. There we go. Everyone likes Big John always use Tapology too. I think a lot of you guys do. A lot of you guys are talking about it. I don't really use it, so yeah, he's got Zellhuber coming up. He's got a win over Lance Gibson. He's got his canceled bout against Diego Ferreira, and then he's got his loss to Mauricio Ruffy. We all know how that ended. Paddy Pimblett choked. Jim Miller, he won. And then he's got his and then he's got his canceled bout against Dan Hooker, and then Jalen Turner, he lost. That was a nasty, nasty loss. So I mean, like, he's got 3 losses out of his last 5. 3 out of his last 5. He's still fast. He's still fun to watch. But he's had the losses he's had has been, man, pretty bad. So let's take a look. Vargas civilized. He's not hungry. He used to, yeah, you're right. He's not as hungry as he used to be. A lot of guys are not. Thanks for the super chat in the Granite $2 super chat. I appreciate it. You're right. A lot of guys are not hungry once they start making a little bit of money. And Dana said that. When guys make too much money, they stop fighting. Things don't go well. So I get where Dana's coming from. But that doesn't mean that they have to starve. Not that they're starving, but you know what I mean. Could always be better. We could always make a little bit more money. So, yeah, Tapology works well. I'm going to start using that probably. I just think because it's not as well lit up, like you can see, like, here's the wins, here's the losses, here's the no contest. Like, I like SureDog's layout a little bit better, but Tapology, I can see what they're doing here. I like it. I like how they have their KO losses, and they're also in a graph. They're also showing it all that way. Shows their wins in UFC, Strikeforce, and Affliction, not just, it's broken out. Like UFC, he's got 14 wins, 12 losses. He's got 4 wins, 1 loss in Strikeforce, and he's 0-1 in Affliction, whatever that was back in the day. Yeah. But look, yeah, I mean, overall, like, pretty much this card, this is the other thing I want to talk to you guys about, is where are we at on this this weekend? They're going to be in Mexico City. Are we not concerned at all about the stuff that's going on down right now? That's wild to me. I mean, literally the cartels are blowing shit up over there. I mean, like, I don't understand. What do you do if I don't know. What do you do if something weird happens? I'm not trying to jinx that on anybody, but I'm like, you've got to be thinking, if you're a multi-billion-dollar company, you're like, yeah, we're going to take our athletes down there. Unless you got a direct connect with the cartels, you're like, yo, man, we can guarantee nothing's going to happen. Like, if I'm a fighter, I'm like, the U.S. government just put out a thing saying, hey, shelter in place in your hotels. And we're bringing MMA guys down there, staying in Mexico City. I don't know. Oof. That's a little weird to me, man. That's a little weird. You know? I just saw that MVP just put out something public too. So he just put something out public. Let me talk about that, about the whole let's see what this is. Yeah, he just let's listen to it. Let's listen to it together. How's that sound? We'll take a listen. Let's see. He was talking about, I'll pull it up right now. Let's see what this one says. Oops. There we go. Yeah, let's see. Let's see what this says. Let's see what Venom Page says. He was on the Bub or something like that. What is this? Oh, the boys in the back. Back, yeah, okay. This must be an MMA fighting thing. Let me go ahead and share this with you guys. Pull this up. Yeah. I don't know if you guys saw this. Take a look at it right now. We'll see what he says.
In the UK, some of the biggest news last week was Conor Benn signing with Zuffa Boxing. What was your reaction when you saw him going over and the price tag attached with it?
I feel like everyone's trying to get me in trouble here. Yeah, it's not something that I'm happy about. So what I would say is, when the announcement of the Paramount, big money partnership came, people was asking me, how do you, excited about this? And my answer was, well, what does that mean for the fighters? Until we understand how that's going to translate to the fighters, there's nothing to really be excited about. And then, I heard about the if you want to call it an increase in bonus structure. And this is why I wasn't bothered to be excited initially, because for me, that doesn't do enough comparatively to the amount of money that they've just brought in for themselves. And then to see, obviously, Dana White, he's always been quite excited about going into the kind of the boxing world and kind of doing other things like the slap fighting and all that kind of stuff. But then to see it and how quickly he values people away from, how highly he values people away from the sport that kind of built his reputation, it's just upsetting, to be fair. It's disappointing more than anything. And that's probably all I'll say on that.
Yeah, and that's totally fair. And please, we don't want to get you in trouble, but I do just think, in this current environment and in this atmosphere, we're now starting to see other fighters react to it, right? Earlier in this show, we actually played Sean O'Malley kind of reacting to it, and the idea that now there's like this price tag.
There you go. Like you see the fighters are like, oh, I don't want to say too much, because they know there's gonna be repercussions, some consequences, repercussions. Like there's gonna be some problems. I look, they're already not matching them up well. Like he's not getting named fighters. The Bellator guys that have come over, and now they're in they're in the rankings. I got Patricio in the rankings. You've got Yaroslav Amosov, I think, is in the rankings. Maybe he's not yet, but he probably will be here soon. You've got MVP in the rankings, and you'll have more that come over. Eventually, they'll come over, and they'll probably do well. Some of them will do well. He's got to be careful, because none of the other guys are sticking up. None of them are saying it publicly. So it's easy for the UFC to just kind of shelter him, be like, hey, he's 38 years old. Nah, don't care. This is what I'm talking about, though. Fighters will say these things as they get towards the end of their career, but they're not saying them when they're right in the thick of making their money because they don't want to interrupt their money. And I understand it. I do. It's a very tough decision to make. Do I stand up and potentially get paid more money, or do I stand up and fucking get just benched? Because before you could go to Pride or Dream, or you could go to Affliction, or you go to Strikeforce, you go to Bellator, you could go to World Series of Fighting, or you can go to the PFL. You can go and still make good money. You can't do that anymore. There's no other fight promotion out there that can pay you what these guys can pay you. You have the top guys in PFL, they're going to get paid. You'll have a handful of other ones they'll get kind of trickle down money. But if they go to the UFC, they're going to get paid the same, if not a little bit less, to fight the same opponent, if not tougher opponent. And they're not going to make like a flat fee. Like in the PFL, I think a majority of it is like a higher percentage of their purse is like, it's like 80-20. You make 80% to show up and fight and 20% if you win or finish or whatever. So until they unionize, or until they put together a fighters union or a players association, like a fighters association, something along those lines, where they can come to the table every 8 years or 6 years and renegotiate the percentage. Because right now the percentage, I believe, is like 17 or 18%. Might even be less than that. It's 16%. I mean, now with this new deal, who knows? It's probably like down to like 10% with the amount of money they're making now. What percentage are they making? I would say it's probably somewhere in that close to single digits, 10 to 11, 12%, maybe less. Because the 1.1 billion is just for Paramount and CBS, just for Paramount. That's not counting the deal they have with the Canadian network. It's not counting the deal they have with the UK networks. It's not counting the deal they have with Brazil. It's not counting the deal they have with Russia and other countries, or whatever countries they have deals with, TV deals with. It's not counting those deals. We're only talking about the $1.7 billion for Paramount. We're not talking about all the other deals they have. It's not counting the merch that they sell. It's not counting the sponsorships they get per show. I mean, I'm sure there's tons of other things that they're making money from. Those are just the quick ones off the top of my head. Yeah, Chill Guy 770, 725. You're probably right. It's probably somewhere around that. Now, if you consider the 1.1 billion a year, they're probably making about 89%. That's why I said when I started this show, what does it look like now? Like, these fighters are left, like, no one's answered that question. No one in the UFC brass has been like, you know what? Yeah, they're gonna see a jump in pay across the board. But tell me, what does that look like? So fighters know, like, hey, if I just keep winning, I'm gonna get a 3% pay, a 3% increase in pay. Am I gonna get an 8%? What are they gonna put them at? No one knows. And look, like I said, I'm a big culprit of this. As I said from the beginning, let them get cleanly out of the ESPN deal. Let them get into their first 2 cards. Now here we are in 3 and 4 cards, 5, 6 cards, whatever it is. And we still have no clarity on what the UFC deal looks like for the fighters. How does it help them? How does it benefit them? I don't know. It's a really a question that needs to be answered, I think, until the fighters speak up for themselves. MVP did it. Sean O'Malley's doing it. And a lot of it just stems from the Conor Benn situation. Conor Benn's getting paid $15 million for one fight. In the Granite 617 just came out and said something. When these fighters have CTE, they need help. If no union benefits, they're screwed. This is 100% true. 100% true. No, the UFC does not tell fighters not to disclose their pay, but it's really no one's business what people make. You know, I didn't disclose all mine. You know, when I was with Strikeforce, I didn't disclose all mine. And Bellator, I didn't disclose all mine. UFC, they disclose a portion of it. They ask if you want to just show. UFC, I would just show my show money. Didn't show what my win was, what my win bonuses were. You know? So you can disclose what you want, but it's a question. Yeah. How many UFC figures made 8 figures? Oh, shit. Probably none. Probably none. If any of them did, it would be Ilia Topuria, Islam, or Poatan. Those are the only 3. If any of them. And when you say made 8 figures, did they make 8 figures because they fought twice or just one fight? None of them made it, I think, off of one fight. None of them. So I don't know, man. Look, this is a long discussion. I'm going to be doing a show tomorrow with Big Ange. We're going to probably talk about this again, but I feel like I had to get it out a little bit and just talk about how, like, hey, in the beginning I was all for letting the UFC get settled into the Paramount deal. Let's not put too much pressure on them to go ahead and deliver in terms of what it looks like for the fighters and what they're going to get paid moving forward. And then I was like, oh, I got settled. I kind of settled a little bit when they said, oh, bonuses will go up to 100,000. And then if you get finishing, you get finishing bonuses as well. But then when he said, you can't win a finish bonus and get performance of the night, you can't have both. I was like, well, this is the dumbest, cheapest bullshit I've ever heard in my life. And that's when I knew the screw job was coming. When you can't win both for putting on a great performance and then eventually getting a finish. And I used the Frankie Edgar, Gray Maynard fight where you guys are just beating the shit out of each other. And then eventually you get a finish at the end. You're telling me that I can't get a double bonus for that type of fight? Get the fuck out of here. The screw job is there. You're losing years of your career when you have performances like that. Not just your career, but you're also affecting your life long term. Like I said, I did this sport because I loved doing it. I loved the chase. It kept me honest to myself on who I really was. Was I a real fighter? Was I someone who was just a bully that would only be that way because I could beat people up? Would I quit when the going went tough? And I was never a quitter. You can't look at any of my fights and be like, yeah, you quit. None of them. Even at 37 years old when I fought Tony Ferguson, I was fucking getting my ass kicked in that fight. Never quit. Never even thought about quitting. The Pat Healy fight, I had 2 broken ribs in my sternum in the first round. Fought the rest of the fight and got the finish at the end of the 3rd round. Was probably losing that fight. Won the 1st round, lost the 2nd round, was losing on my way to losing the 3rd. Ended up sneaking out the back, took his back and finished him. But I had 2 broken ribs in my sternum in that fight from the 1st round on. Could barely breathe. Was exhausted. You can't put a dollar amount on the guys that deliver performances like a Frankie Edgar and like a Gray Maynard and those guys when they delivered that type of fight. The Dan Henderson and the Shogun Rua fight. You can't put a dollar amount on that kind of fight. When you're telling me you can't give him a finishing bonus and a fight of the night bonus, you cheat. That's the screw job right there. You cheap fucks. It's that to me is that should tell the fighters exactly where you fucking stand. I want these guys to make as much money. And I get jealous seeing how much money these guys are making now. But I still believe they deserve more. And I'm not saying that I've never said they deserve like basketball money in terms of like half 50-50, like you get 50 and I get 50. No, I don't believe that. I believe that they deserve a bigger percentage. I don't know what the percentage is, but before when they had the ESPN deal, I believe someone had showed it to me. I think Luke had showed it to me, Luke Thomas. Some other guys that showed it to me. It was like 17, 16, 70% is what they were making, maybe up to 18. I said, let's baby steps. Let's get these guys to like 22%. Let's get them to 22, 21, 22%. Let's get them there. And then let's renegotiate in 6 years. However long like the Major League Baseball renegotiations are, or however long the because look, guys, if you guys are still like guys like Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje, these guys have been in the top 5 fucking for the last 10 years. They deserve a big bump, whether they were champion or interim champion or whatever the fuck it was, whether they were any of those things. They have delivered some of the most memorable fights in UFC history. And they need to know for their life, that they will be getting rewarded 3% more. If I stay in the top 10 rankings for 6 years and I can go to the renegotiation table for the fighters, association to have renegotiate this process, see how much more money we could potentially earn, even if it's 1 or 2% more, 3% more, whatever it is. They deserve it. They absolutely deserve it. I want these guys to make money. I want them all to make money. DC sat on my show and said all these guys are going to make more money. But not one fighter has been talked to, or at least they haven't come out publicly and been like, yeah, I just redid my contract and I'm making more money. Not one. Somebody, if you've done that as a fighter, speak out. Be like, hey guys, yeah, I sat down with Hunter or Sean or Mick or Dana, and you know what? We were able to get this thing done. I got a little bump. Let everyone like kind of set other fighters' minds at ease. Let them know, hey man, yeah, I was taken care of a little bit. Sure, of course I would always want more. I think everybody's gonna be like, yeah, of course I want more. But let's see where we're at. Well, anyways, I've beaten this whole thing was about the Sean O'Malley coming out, and then I just got delivered the MVP. Someone texted to me right now. Like I said, I had multiple fighters in my DMs. I'm not going to bring up their names, and I didn't even ask them if I could. But they're like, man, this is bullshit. Conor Ben making $15 million for one fight in a fucking promotion that just started. That this guy doesn't have a name that I do, like Sean was saying. Like this guy doesn't. Like if I was to take Sean and Conor Ben and put them on a flyer and put them all around the world, more people would recognize Sean O'Malley. And Sean O'Malley's making, like he said, I'm not making no $15 million. It's crazy. It's crazy. These fighters, I think, are starting to, I'm hoping that some of them are starting to wake up. The problem is the ones that will wake up are the ones that are kind of towards the end of their career. Or the ones that kind of like, man, I'm right in the thick of this. And this is bullshit. I do a lot for the UFC, man. I fight my ass off and I come out and I do all this stuff. So I'm like, yeah, I do everything. I promote the shit out of the UFC. UFC promotes shit out of me too, but I mean, I do my part. He's created his own brand. He's built his own thing. So we're gonna find out more fighters. You got MVP, you've got Sean O'Malley. Like, I wonder if anyone else is gonna speak up. This is a great conversation to be had, probably with like Luke Thomas, you know, because he's gone all in on this type of thing. Who knows? This is right up his alley. You know? Yeah. I know. All right, guys. Hey, that's going to wrap it up for tonight, man. We did an hour and 40 minutes. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. And if I missed anything, man, I'm sorry. I'm going to do a show tomorrow with Angelo Bad Takes. And we'll try and drop that sometime in the afternoon. And we'll probably do 2 shows maybe tomorrow. Film 2. We'll drop those throughout the week. And but one will probably drop tomorrow. We haven't done a Bad Takes in a while because I was gone in Tijuana last week at CPI Stem Cells. And hey, guys, man, if you guys haven't checked out this product here, it is basically, oh, yeah, there we go. Alejandro Gutierrez gifted 5 winning memberships. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, my man. Gifted 5. If you guys become a member, I'll try to get to your questions in the chat. If you guys become a member, I also offer a membership deal, $4.99 and $1.99. Those of you guys are members, I select a member out of there and I have you guys on the show. Try to do it once a month, possibly twice a month, where you and I sit in front like this and we debate. And then I put out a show with that on there. It stays up on there so you can share it to all your friends and build it up however you want. But look, it's a great little thing that I try to do for all of my for all my members. So we're going to randomly select a member who is a member. So join our membership program. I want to thank you guys so much. And thanks, Alejandro Gutierrez, for doing that. Appreciate it. All right, guys, man, we're out. Let's see. Listen to Bisping talk about fighter pay, though. For real, he sheds light on the truth of low-level boxing versus MMA, and it's very enlightening. Yeah, low-level boxing doesn't get paid shit. So MMA gets paid like, I want to say like their base salary is 12 and 12 or 15 and 15. They come into the UFC, they're making 15 and 15. Like low-level boxing, they're making $800. That's why I said when I talked about it earlier, boxing's the fucking glory hole in some shitty ass bathroom. You don't know what the hell's on the other side because those promoters are fucking the shit out of you. They are screwing you over big time. 100%. Boxing is a shithole sleazeball sport that's run by a bunch of other sleazeballs. Absolutely. In MMA, you've got like 2 or 3 good promoters and that's it. So you got to deal with. And to be honest, they obviously, because there's only 2 or 3 of them that have shows, when you put your name out there, exactly, like, that promoter, he only pays this much and this much, but I got to get on that show because that show leads me into the UFC or that show leads me into the PFL. That's it. So those are your options. Anyways, all right, guys. Hey, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. And we did an hour and 40 minutes, and it's been awesome. I know it was a little bit negative tonight. I like to try to keep it as positive as possible. Christopher Boyd, thank you so much. It was my pleasure, and it was my pleasure to actually be out here with you guys, and it's been awesome. Have a great night, everyone. As Robert Valet, S3P. Have a great night, everyone. Sorry I missed most of that chat. Well, next time, I'm going to start trying to do some chats during the day. Okay, so you guys make sure you hit that bell for notifications. So when I do some live shows during the day, you guys can just jump right on while you guys are at work or you're bored, all right? We're out of here, man. See you guys later.